All right, my name is Luke Pfeffer,
And I'm Dan.
I'm Nate.
I'm Delisa.
and our experiment is testing escalator etiquette. So normally, when you ride an escalator, everybody stands one after another, and you leave the left side open for people to walk up. We decided that we were going to follow people onto an escalator and stand next to them and just kind of mirror their movements the whole way up.
So we'll be introducing the two hypotheses that we came up with. The first one is that if we ride the escalators next to someone else, then the person will move away from us.
And then the second hypothesis that we came up with was if we ride the escalator next to someone, then they would confront us and say something.
So we each performed this experiment twice, I believe. We had different experiences every time. My experience was the first time I went up, I walked onto an empty escalator with a dude about my age. He's heading to the gym. And when I stepped onto the escalator right next to him, there was nobody else in sight. So when we rode up, it was extremely quiet and awkward. And he tended to have headphones in. He didn't really want to acknowledge that I was standing right next to him. And he leaned more so on the left side while I was standing on the right side. So it led to just awkwardness and definitely confusion. And then I decided to ride back down. When I rode back down, I caught up to somebody. So I walked to catch up to him, and I said, "Excuse me." And he was expecting me to walk right past him, but then I just decided to stop right next to him. And as soon as I did that, he was really confused, and he asked me, he was like, "You can go." And to keep the experiment alive, I said, "No, sir, you can go." And as soon as he started walking, I followed him. And then eventually it led to frustration that led to a boiling point where he yelled, "Whatever," in my face, and then decided to walk away. Yeah.
All right, so when I rode up the escalator next to a person, there was really no, result. He just kind of stood there. He was vibing with me. He just stood there, basically.
Okay, so when I did it, I followed a girl who seemed to be around the same age as me up onto the escalator. In the beginning, she was kind of a little farther away from me, I would say. So I kind of had to hurry up a little bit to catch up to her. I stood really close to her, which made her visibly uncomfortable. And right away she went up a step, and then I did the same thing. And then a few seconds later she went up 2 or 3 more steps, and I also did the same thing again. And then at a certain point she was clearly upset, so then she started walking up the escalator up to the very top, which I did the same thing. And then once we both got to the top, you could tell with her expression on her face, even with her mask, that she was clearly upset, and she picked up her pace and then headed off to the gym to continue her day.
Okay, so for my part of the experiment, I went first, and there was an older gentleman who walked through the doors of the Peterson Event Center. He was an older gentleman. He had a toolbox. I assume he was working maintenance or something. So I followed him to the escalator, and he knew I was up to something. So he sped up and cut me off and put both arms out on the handrails to block me. So I just tapped him on the shoulder, and I was like, "Excuse me, sir." He was like, "Oh, you can go," like assuming I was gonna walk by him. And I said, "No, thank you." And I stood next to him, where he proceeded to, he asked me, he was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have to stand next to you." So then he just sparked a conversation, like very, very small talk, nothing serious, kind of like, "Hi, how are you?" Until we got to the top of the escalator. So
Okay, so basically the wrap up of our experiment was that we came up with our conclusion where we actually proved our hypothesis correct, where there were 2 main reactions to our experiment where people avoided us in the sense of just not reacting, or it turned into a minor conflict where they expressed how they were feeling and how uncomfortable they were while we were standing next to them and breaking a social norm.
And if we were to recreate this experiment, we would change a couple things. One being maybe doing it at different times throughout the day, or doing it with more people of different ages and demographics, possibly.
All right, thank you.